sing Come and Dine. Sing with me now. Jesus has the table spread where the saints of God are fed. He invites his chosen people, come and dine. With his manna he doth feed and supply their every need. Oh, 'tis sweet to sup with Jesus all the time. Come and dine, the Master calleth, come and dine. You may feast at Jesus' table all the time. He who fed the multitude turned water into wine. To the hungry calleth now, come and dine. Sing the last now. Soon the Lamb will take his bride to be ever at his side. All the hosts of heaven will assemble be. Oh, it will be a glorious sight. All the saints his father's wife, and with Jesus they will feast eternally. Come and dine, the Master calleth, come and dine. And you may feast at Jesus' table all the time. He who fed the multitude turned water into wine. To the hungry calleth now, come and dine. Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. Let's get just a few announcements out of the way real quick. First of all, thank you for all those who stayed for the meeting today regarding fair parking. I know that will be a huge help to make sure everything is organized, so appreciate that very much. Next Sunday, right after the morning service, there's another meeting, and it's for the Pinewood Derby. I encourage you, stay and learn about this. It's going to be a lot of fun. The more I'm learning from Brother Todd about it, the more fun it sounds. And he'll be handling that meeting. The Pinewood Derby is his baby, so to speak. He's taking care of that. And so we're hoping it's something we do every year, and we love to get all the kiddos and adults involved in it, working together. And so he'll be hosting that meeting next Sunday morning right at the end of services. Fair parking starts in 2 weeks. The 19th will be the parade. 18th, Friday night, we start parking, all right? So if you have not done so yet and you want to fill in a spot, if there's some open slots left, those sign-up sheets are on the back table, all right? We have our Labor Day picnic coming up Labor Day weekend. And then Anniversary Sunday is the very next weekend on the 10th. Originally, we had those separated by a week, but the quartet was booked on the 17th, and they misbooked us and booked us for a different date. So I had to do a little maneuvering to keep them, and so we moved Anniversary to the 10th. So September 10th is Anniversary Sunday. What we're going to do at this point is there will be no 9:30 Sunday school. Services will begin at 10 a.m. We'll meet here in the auditorium, and the quartet will be singing for us that morning, beginning at 10 o'clock, and we'll let them sing for about 30, 45 minutes at that point in time, and then we'll kick off and start the morning worship service. So that's the order of service for the 10th. And then lunch on the grounds, an afternoon service, no evening service on the 10th, all right? So that's the layout through September. My wife, I believe, has a ladies' fellowship in September. You'll hear more about that going forward. And there's also the ladies' retreat coming up. She sent out a text about the ladies' retreat. If you would like to go, please get with her. If you did not get the text or she does not have your number, please get with her so that way she can make sure you get her those announcements. There is a ladies' retreat coming up in October, so please make sure that you get with her regarding that. Sorry, it's coming up in September. All right, my bad. September, and so please get with her regarding the information on the ladies' retreat. So a lot of stuff happening. It's going to get real busy here because, believe it or not, and I know this, it's almost sounds crazy to say when it's 108. The holidays will be upon us before you know it, and we're looking at Christmas music right now in choir and everything else. And so I'm hoping if we pull the Christmas music out and start singing it, the temperatures will drop outside. Maybe the weather will cooperate with us, so we can pray and hope anyway. So keep Brother McClure in your prayers, Brother Riney in your prayers, all right? Remember, continue to pray for them. Brother Riney is out of the hospital finally. He was in there a month he spent in the hospital. He is out and home on dialysis. Brother McClure's got 2 more weeks in an ICU situation. Then he can start therapy, long-term therapy. So he needs your prayers. Please continue to pray for him. He's gone through, he's been in the hospital since his surgery back in the mid-July, I think. No, earlier than that, mid-June. So he's been in the hospital now or in a care for almost 2 months, working on that time period. So please remember him. Brother Dan Dutton has hernia surgery on Wednesday, so please keep him in your prayers as he'll be undergoing surgery. Brother Kress is in long-term care now down in Carrollton. So remember him in that situation, because his days fluctuate wildly with the Parkinson's, and you just never know where he's going to be on any given day. So please keep Brother Jerry Kress in your prayers. So many people need our prayers. Remember them. It is so good. What a blessing to have Brother Leon with us tonight. He walked in just a few minutes ago. It's a blessing to see him in the services, and glad to have him to be here. Also a blessing to have Ms. Wilson with us tonight. They popped in down from Kansas. Is it this hot in Kansas? Why didn't you bring some of your weather with you then? Come on. You could have helped us out. Brother Bill and Miss Sharon popped in tonight. They're down in town. Always a blessing to have them join us in services as well. So it's good to see them. Brother Bob, let's sing another song.
More about Jesus would I know. Join with me now. More about Jesus would I know. More of his grace to others show. More of his saving fullness see. More of his love to die for me. More about Jesus. More about Jesus. More of his saving fullness see. More of his love who died for me. On the second now. More about Jesus, let me learn. More of his holy will discern. Spirit of God, my teacher be, showing the things of Christ to me. More about Jesus. More about Jesus. More of his saving fullness see. More of his love who died for me. On the last. More about Jesus on his throne. Riches in glory all his own. More of his kingdom sure increase. More of his coming Prince of Peace. More about Jesus. More about Jesus. More of his saving fullness see. More of his love who died for me.
Let's pray as we receive our offering. Father, thank you for this day. We thank you for the great services this morning. Father, for the visitors and guests that we had today, we praise you for that. Lord, now we just pray that you would bless this offering as it is received tonight. May it be used to your honor and glory. In Jesus' name we ask it. Amen.
Jesus Christ,
gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from all iniquities and purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works. This is, now I belong to Jesus. Jesus, my Lord, will love me forever. From him no power of evil will sever. He gave his life to ransom my soul. Now I belong to him. Now I belong to Jesus. Jesus belongs to me, not for the years of time alone, but for eternity. Once I was lost in sin's degradation. Jesus came down to bring me salvation, lifted me up from sorrow and shame. Now I belong to him. Now I belong to Jesus. Jesus belongs to me, not for the years of time alone, but for eternity. Joy floods my soul, for Jesus has saved me, freed me from sin that long had enslaved me. His precious blood he gave to redeem. Now I belong to him. Now I belong to Jesus. Jesus belongs to me, not for the years of time alone, but for eternity.
So someone in choir said, "You play the guitar?" And he said, "Yeah, I just picked it up this summer." That moved him down a notch on my likable list, I want you to know, big time. Nicely done, nicely done. And so if you go ahead, I'll go ahead and say, if you made the trip to Belgium and would like to give a testimony tonight, if you'd make your way down here to the front, that way I know how many we're dealing with. So come on down here. The front row is all yours. Believe it or not, in a Baptist church, the front row is empty. So you can come on down, and if you'd like to share a testimony. Huh? Oops, sorry. You do get it to work? Okay. So, my apologies, just move that to the floor, I'm sorry. No, I'm good. Oh, yeah, I guess. All right, so we took a group over during the camp season for for the churches there in Belgium. And while we were there, Hannah went over earlier than anybody else. She traveled over on July 7th and was there until we came back on the 31st. She was the only one of us that was there for both junior and senior camp. She went over and stayed with Ms. Lori Moeller for a couple of weeks and then attended the camps. And then the rest of the group traveled over on the Friday right before senior camp started on Sunday afternoon. And so it was quite an adventuring trip. There'll be inside jokes and things that will go for years to come, no doubt. But it is good that we got everybody home. We learned a lot of lessons on this trip. One of those lessons is this, and it's a very simple lesson: no passport, no plane. If you remember that That is one lesson that we learned. You cannot get on a plane without a passport. But other than that, there were a lot of other lessons learned in the process. So I'm going to ask if those that went, we'll start and we'll just work our way. We'll go ladies first. So that means Jonah and David get to sit around and ponder what they're going to say for a while. All of the ladies right now looking at each other going, I ain't going first. I'm not going first. So they might all start playing rock, paper, scissors down here on the front row. Probably the one who was there the longest should go first. And so we'll let Hannah get up. Once they give a testimony, we do have a video of one of the days at camp, so you can kind of see how the camp day goes. They do a video every day of camp, and we were able to download one of those days, so we'll show that video. Katya did the video. Wow, she that was one of her things at camp, is she took over the video and did the videos for camp. And so that's pretty awesome. So Hannah, yes ma'am. That is Lori Moeller. That is Brother Joe and Ms. Mary Moeller's daughter. All right, and she housed about half of us at one point in time while we were there. So, all right, Ms. Hannah, I'm going to let you go first then, since everybody else is a coward. And yeah, that way we don't have to worry with that.
Okay, so I have been pondering on how to fit a month's worth of fun into a 5-minute testimony. This trip started out as just a missions trip to go over, see friends, work camps, see a family, or that's basically like a family to me, and God saw it as an opportunity to pretty much change my life. A lot of you guys know a while back I had surrendered to go to Belgium, and some things happened and I kind of pushed that call away. And little did I know that there is still something going on. I'm not exactly sure what, but God is still putting something on my heart for the country of Belgium. When I first got there, it's amazing getting off the plane and stepping out of the airport and thinking, you know, I don't feel like a stranger here. This feels like my second home. I mean, I just have always had a special love for the country. I've always had a special love for the people. And so the first week I was there was just kind of preparation for the camps. I got to help Miss Lori get things ready to go, help her with lessons, help her with memory verses and all that stuff, which was a blast because I got to kind of be a part of the behind the scenes on how it comes together. And let me tell you something, they put a lot of work into that camp. They plan and they go all out for those kids. And so that was, the first week was just kind of a, week just to get prepared, which was awesome because jet lag is not fun. And it was good to have a week to kind of recuperate and get myself into the zone. But junior camp was the next week, and I had not been to a junior camp since 2015, and I don't remember the first junior camp that I went to. So this was kind of new for me, and I was kind of just jumping in, just wanting to help wherever I could. And they put me, they kind of had me just everywhere, just kind of where was needed. Whether it was in the kitchen or whether it was in the dorm, whether it was with games, I mean, just wherever they needed me. But honestly, it was so much fun to be in different positions because it allowed me to kind of see the camp from different point of views, see the campers from different point of views, see the kids from different point of views, and allowed me to build relationships with a lot of the junior campers and a lot of the counselors who were my campers the next week. So I got to build my relationship with them before senior camp even started, which was really, really helpful. But the girls at junior camp were amazing. They were so much fun. They were just a bundle of energy all the time. Trying to get them to go to sleep was near to impossible. And all of us counselors are like, please just go to sleep. Please just go to sleep. but they were so much fun. And end of junior camp, I think we had about 9 salvations for junior camp, which was amazing. And then senior camp started, and that's kind of where God started to do some work on my life. Through messages, Brother Corey preached. He's a missionary to Spain. And then Brother Danny Flowers, who's a missionary in France, preached for the French side. And their messages every night were just spot on. I mean, spot on. I remember Brother Corey talking about hanging on to things and how if you're hanging on to stuff, God cannot use you. He's got to be able to, you got to be able to relinquish everything to him, or he cannot use you. And that hit me hard because there is a lot of stuff I was holding on to from the past, and I knew that God wasn't going to be able to use me until I let go of some of this stuff. And so I had made a decision, and I had talked to Miss Lori before camps even started, and I had made a decision that I wanted to rededicate my life to Christ and do what he wanted me to do. And whether that be if moving to Belgium or just temporary working in Belgium, whatever he wanted, that's what I wanted to do. And so I rededicated my life, and from then on, camp was just different. I can't explain it. It was just different. It's like God opened my eyes to so much, and I got to lead 3 girls to Christ, which I didn't feel like I even deserved to do, but it was just seeing their face, because you could tell they were scared to come forth. A lot of them were missionary kids whose parents had been on the field, and they felt like they were saved, and they were scared to come forth and talk about it. And so it was just amazing to see how God worked in their lives and how God was able to use me to work in their life and use my past experiences to help them. And the whole thing was just amazing. And by the end of camp, I think we had, 9 salvations for senior camp as well. And one of the kids I had been praying for since junior camp, because I had worked with him in the kitchen, and I knew that he was struggling with his salvation. And I had been praying for him and praying for him and praying for him and praying for him. And I saw the last video that they posted, and he was in the group of salvations. And so that, I bawled my eyes out. I was like, thank you, Lord, thank you, because I had been praying for him for the whole time I was there. So it just goes to show God still answers prayers. God still works in hearts. And it doesn't matter if you've never been to church or if you've been to church your entire life. If you're not saved, you need to be saved. And so, but it was just amazing to see all these kids that we've been praying for weeks on end, and all the work that was put into it was just worth it. It was so worth it just to see these kids knowing that they were going to heaven. And there was one night where Brother Corey said, if you want to give your life to Christ, I want you to stand up right now. And just to watch the entire room stand. And then Brother Woody passed a microphone around and had all the kids say, I surrender my life to Christ. And every kid just through the room, I surrender my life to Christ, in French, in Dutch, in English, in Spanish, every language known to man. But you know what? To God, it was the same. And to just see those kids surrender their life to Christ, didn't matter what language it was in, and to know that they're going home a new person, ready to serve the Lord. It just made the whole camp worth it. And I'm already saving for next year. I'm already planning on going back. And I just ask that you pray for me as I'm working through some decision making and working through a call that I feel on my life. And I don't know what that call is yet, but I do know it has to do with that country. And whatever it is, I want to do it. So thank you.
First off, I just want to thank everyone for all your prayers, because I know there was a lot of prayers went up, because that was kind of a scary situation. I do regret the words I spoke to Miss Kim on the way down there. We had going down, we had a layover in Madrid, just like coming back. And I said, I just want to go outside of the airport and eat, just get something to eat from Spain so I can say I've been there.
She's been there.
And I've been there. But first off, I want to start by thanking Alicia Molin. We were back there in BBS, and she goes, "You have air tags for your bags?" And I was like, "Oh, what are those?" So she explained it to me. So I got air tags for my bags. So luckily, I was able to retrieve our bags. They were still in Madrid where we were. But we didn't spend as much time at the camp as some of the others did. We were able to go and stay, like they had said, we had stayed in Lori Muller's house, which is right next door to Brother and Miss Muller. And we were able to spend a lot of quality time with them, sitting around the table, drinking coffee, just getting to fellowship with them. And I spoke with Lori. Her and I would talk once in a while, and she said that her parents really needed that. They really needed that connection with people from their church. And that, I was so grateful when she said that, because, you know, I was glad that we were able to go to be able to give that connection to the Mullers. And not only the Mullers, she said Tony Anderson, Brother and Miss Anderson, that are over there in Bruges. She was telling me that Tony needed that she doesn't have a lot of connections to people back from the States, and that she said that Tony really needed that. She really needed that encouragement. We got to spend an entire day, well, a day and part of another day with them. They took us around Bruges. We got to fellowship. We got to have lunch with them. And I feel like God put us there to be a blessing for them, both sets, the Mullers, well, not only the Mullers, the Andersons and the Taylors that we were able to go with.
There you go, put me on the spot. Yeah, like I said, she did jinx it when she said that about wanting to spend the night, because we did get to spend at least 2 nights in Spain. But the trip over to, we'll start with Brussels. Laura and her husband are the most generous people I ever seen. They opened their house up to us. We got to stay with them. We spent a couple of days fellowshipping and talking, and Brother and Mr. Muller would come over and talk with the pastor and with us, and you can see their faces lit up, and they enjoyed having somebody come over to see them do the work that they've been over there for the last umpteen years doing, and they really lit up when we went to talking to them and asking questions, and they told us about every aspect. We did get to go to the church. That was neat, trying to listen to Brother Paul preach, and with the translator. There's a couple of times that I know we was at the Brother Taylor's church. A couple of times, Brother Paul would say something, Brother Taylor would look at him. But anyway, it was neat. We had a good time. We did do some sightseeing. Lori took us everywhere. I will say their coffee is exquisite. But, you got anything else? I don't know what I would say. Like I say, the Andersons, lovely couple. I think everybody needs to go over one time and visit the Andersons. I'm going to leave it at that. Just walk around town with them, and you'll have a blast. My whole time over there was saying, hold up, I got to catch my wind. They'd be going, everybody take off walking, I'd be out of wind. But anyway, we had a great time, and I'm going to leave it alone and let somebody else do it.
I'm going to piggyback off Dina and Cecil's. Yeah, like I said, we went to the camp Sunday night to drop the people off that were going to be working there, and Paul got to preach that night, and they did something a little different this year, because we've been to the camp before, and they would always separate out the teens. They would have one, for the French speaking and German or whatever. Well, this year they had French, Spanish, and Dutch and English. They had all different languages. So what they did was they bought these little headphone sets, and they hooked it up to, I guess, a channel. And Brother Corey, when my husband was preaching, he would be, literally as Paul was preaching, he was speaking into his microphone in Spanish, exactly. I mean, right, like, And then they had one that was a young lady that was doing the French. Well, when you don't have a translator up there by you, you forget you're speaking to people who are not English speaking. And he was just going. And I'm like, oh, slow down, honey. Because I could hear her in the back just trying her. After the service, she looked at my husband. She goes, "You tested my skills." So, because she had to say it exactly how he, try to say it exactly how he said it. So that was really interesting for that. And of course, if it was when Brother Corey spoke, I guess he spoke in Spanish. Did he? Oh, he was English. Okay. So if there was a person up there speaking French, then the English speaking people would have the headphone. But anyway, it was really interesting to watch that all unfold. But we were privileged, just like Dina said, to spend some time with Miss Mary and Brother Joe and Miss Lori. Miss Lori is like my daughter's second mom. She really is. She's helped her through a lot, and it was really good for her to be there with her while she was over there. And I respect her a lot for that, for taking care of her and when she was there without us. But getting to hear just things that they're struggling with, like Paul said this morning, a European country it's not like the Philippines where they're just so accepting. You have to build that relationship, and sometimes it's 20 years before you see a soul saved. And, people here in the States are like, you should be winning souls every day. Well, no, it's not. It doesn't work like that in every part of the world. You have to go about it just a little differently. But we did get to see the Moeller's Church the first Sunday we were there, and just loved it. They had a big lunch for us, and they're just so caring, and the people would just come up and, they greet you with a kiss. You better be ready, because, you might, poor Cecil, he was, he didn't really know what to do. And I was like, and we did warn them. We said they might try to kiss you. That's just what they do. And they're the both sides, and you just got to be ready to do it. And it was kind of comical to watch that in some of them, but they just welcome you. And some of them didn't do it because they know we're American and we shake hands, and they try to, but when the first time I met Lori several years ago, that was when Bill and Sharon went with us, and she says, "I'm gonna greet you like I'm a French person," and I'm like, "Okay." And so she, and then him and all of us, but it was fine. But it was really good to get to sit with them and just talk with them about just things that are going on and just their struggles, And Lori said, over and over, that us being there, it was good for her, because she. Brother Joe preaches, but Lori pretty much takes care of all of it. She takes care of the ladies' stuff. She takes care of the children's stuff. Mary will kick in and help a lot of do things, but Lori just plans it all. And there's a lady in their church that really steps up and helps too, but she just really wears a lot of it. They had a lot of first-time visitors, and they had people there that was like their second time to come, and they were so excited to see them, and they were really just trying to fellowship with those people and get them in, kind of like we do here when we have visitors. We pull them in, we try to get them to come to things, and so it was a blessing to watch that. But she just said it was really good for her to entertain, and to have people that she can share her country with. And so we did do a lot of going around and seeing some things. We did go to Bruges, saw the Andersons. They were here in our church, but it's probably been a long time ago. He preached in our church, and the girls were very young at that time. But it's hard. We got to see their church. They have a really nice building. They run about, I think he said 30 to 40, so it was good to get to see their church and just, we didn't get to go to a service because they don't, a lot of times don't do the midweek services there. They'll have Bible studies and stuff, but not a set midweek service. It's just pretty much a Sunday morning service. But anyway, but we really enjoyed getting to know them and, toured us around Bruges and just told us, we took a tour and then we walked around with them and they told us so many things. And then we went on a tour and we heard the same things that they told us. And we said, man, we could have saved our money because they would have given it to us for free. But they knew a lot about their country and about their city. And it was just really a blessing to get to be there and just really fellowship and give them some encouragement because they need it. They needed it. So, but I really enjoyed it. It was fun.
Okay, so I don't know why I feel like introducing myself. I think everyone knows my name. Okay, sorry. Well, anyways, going to Belgium, it was my first time going out of the country. Obviously, like when I was born, I was out of the country, but I don't remember that. So I was really nervous because that was my first really long plane ride. It was 10 hours, 9 hours. Okay, but yeah, plus, staying up because we literally left at 9 p.m. and traveled all day, so pretty much pulled an all-nighter, I guess. So I was definitely ready to go to bed. I'm sure we all were. But anyways, I was really nervous. When we got to the camp, they kind of were just throwing us in there. They're like, so this is, we were originally supposed to just run games. And we were like, okay, Alicia prepared really amazing games. And they were like, yeah, just kidding, that's not what you're doing. And they kind of just didn't really give me a role. So I'm like, oh great, what am I supposed to do? So I had to force myself to get involved, and that's really difficult for me because I'm really introverted, especially in new places, and I was in a new country, so on top of that I'm I just want to stay in my shell and not really do much. So I had to get involved. I had to meet new people and things like that. So I kind of tried to throw myself in there. For example, I noticed Becky, she was a lady who runs a lot of the camp, and she was doing the videos, and I noticed she already had a lot on her plate, so I was like, hey, if you don't mind, I could do the videos some nights. So she let me do Thursday and Fridays, so I kind of wanted to help her out there. And then I made popcorn, which I know it's something so small, but kind of did that. But yeah, and I'm probably gonna steal your thunder about football. There are tournaments every single day. And one of them was 3-man American football. And of course, us Americans had to run it. We couldn't let someone from, Europe run it, of course. So me and Jonah ran it, and it was so cool to teach them how to play football. We had to teach them how to hold the ball and throw it, what a receiver is, what a quarterback is, It's you think everyone knows what it is, but then you go to Europe and they're like, huh? They thought once they catch the ball, they have to freeze, they could run with the ball. Anyways, I'll let you say more because I'm sure a lot of us are stealing what you want to say. But anyways, so yeah, that was cool. We got to teach them football. And in the video, I chose Friday so you can see some highlights. It was really cool. And then, yeah, the food was good, by the way, if anyone's wondering. Camp food, you're like, oh, great, this is going to be gross food for the next week or however long you're there. But it was amazing. It was really good. We had some good carrot cake. I think Alicia made it, right? Yeah, it was fire. So good. But, yeah, they also made some American food. The first night we had tacos. But, yeah, it was good. And so Miss Kim was mentioning about how services worked. So Brother Corey did English, and then what was the guy's name who did French? Brother Danny did French. And so that meant we wouldn't understand a word that he was saying unless we had a translator because it was all in French. So it's cool to be the person with the translator in their ears hearing it. It was really beautiful to hear it in French and then being able to hear it in my ear in English and everyone being able to understand the message even though it was in a different language. That was so neat. It blows your mind because you're like, whoa, everyone's getting the same message. It's crazy. Everyone's speaking different languages. I felt kind of silly just knowing English because everyone there at least is bilingual. Like one girl I met, she knew like 5 languages. I'm like, anyways, so it was cool. It's like every day I was hearing someone speak a new language. Like obviously I'd heard French and English and Spanish, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, they're speaking Dutch. And I'm like, what the heck? It's so cool. But anyways, it was cool getting to know people. But it was cool and nerve-wracking because I had to get out of my comfort zone. But yeah, I really pushed myself there to go and things like that. But okay, I'm done. I need to stop. Okay.
Her first day in Belgium, she said like 4 words. So this is an improvement. So I wrote mine down because you know me. If I don't write it down, I'm gonna ramble, and I'm gonna probably cry. So I'm gonna not do that tonight. Because I did plenty of that the first day of the trip. Because, like Katya said, we kind of just everything that we planned kind of just went out the window. And you know me, I'm a very organized person, so that did not put me in my comfort zone. See, I told you I'm not gonna do this. It wasn't an easy trip. It was hard. There was a lot to do, a lot of long hours, a lot of hard work, even some second-degree burns, which looked pretty good a week and a half later. So literally blood, sweat, and tears. And I ended up in the kitchen, so I was not around any of the kids, which was very difficult for me. But it was a mission trip, y'all. It's a mission trip. This was not fun. This was not vacation. It's about the people and about the kids, you know. And from somebody who helped run a camp for many years up in Alaska, I get it. You know, there's a lot of moving parts that can go awry at in any number of ways at any time. So it requires a lot of work on the part of everyone there. And the result is lives changed and souls saved, and 9, in fact, while we were there. So it was challenging for sure. But those of you who know me know that I lean towards being a Martha anyway, which I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think if you look at the whole story, Martha gets, you know, a bad take on it. Don't laugh. I heard that. If there's work to be done, I usually just jump in and do it. So I don't think that Martha gets a fair look all the time, because I know from running a camp that you've got to have people that work. You've got to have, the kids have to be fed and the desserts have to be made. And I did a lot of baking for the whole week, which was fun because I don't get to do a whole lot of that here because I live by myself and I can't eat everything I bake. So baking desserts every night for 80 people was fun. We all want to be Mary. We all want to sit at his feet and learn. But there is also work to be done. And the work allows other people to sit and learn. And it allows the lives to be changed. So I think my takeaway from this, and I don't know what this looks like in my life, and I don't know where this goes from here, but my takeaway is learning a little bit more balance. Because I get caught up in the doing, and I think that I need to stop. And I need to sit and learn more than work. But I think that is a challenge to everybody here as well. So I'm not going to be too preachy in a Baptist church, but we need Marthas. We need Sunday school teachers in this church. We need new classes. We need new ministries. We need bus routes. We need Bible studies. We need disciplers. We need mentors. We need kitchen workers. And we need many more things. You know, as a church, we need workers, and we each need to find that balance of sitting but also working so that we can reach people. So I want to leave you with 2 challenges. One is go on a mission trip and work. Like, even if it's like, I don't want you to kill yourself and exhaust yourself, but go on a mission trip and work. not to see the places, but see the people. Help them and serve them and change lives in the process. And number 2 is take a look around here and find where you can serve, because God wants us to serve, and he has a place for everybody here, and there's a need for everybody here if you are open to it. So that is mine.
All right. That was, this trip was actually This trip was actually my first missions trip as well. It was not my first time out of the country. It was my first time being to Europe. I kind of knew a little bit of what to expect, but still, it was a lot of fun. I was glad we got to stay at the camp. I think probably the key word of the whole trip was flexibility. I've worked in camp ministry before, so some of that stuff, kind of it comes with the territory. Adapt and overcome, as the military says. But there was a lot of stuff that we got to do that we weren't expecting, and it was really a big blessing to get to be part of a camp overseas and see how it was the same and yet also different. If you've ever tried to explain a game in 3-4 languages simultaneously, so we learned to keep things very simple, so you don't have to have a whole bunch of directions that you say, because I kind of wound up being the front man for explaining a lot of stuff, and so I'd say a couple sentences, and I'd pass the microphone off to a translator, and they'd say something, then I'd take it back, and I'd say the next set, and by that time, half the kids are talking to each other and not listening, so you had to keep stuff simple, but it was really cool to see just how the Lord can work, even in the midst of that kind of organized chaos where you have different languages and different groups and people that don't know each other, but they're all you still get that camp spirit where they're coming together for a common purpose and just having fun, and also getting preaching and getting to know each other, getting to hear from God and learn and make decisions. It was a lot of fun. It was a great blessing to be a part of it. It was also, it was both, I think it was encouraging for the people that it definitely seemed encouraging for the people that were there. I don't think they get to see a lot of people from just the missionaries, I don't know how often they get to see people from the States or get to see new people coming to help. So it definitely seemed to be more of an encouragement to them than it would be if we just met somebody new here. So I think they were definitely glad to have us on board. So hopefully we were able to be a blessing to them. But it was also burdening for me personally, because I got to talk with several of the missionaries, and they talked about how it's one, especially as they're getting older, there aren't a lot of replacements. Europe is a very difficult field. I spent a lot of time talking with the one missionary there from Germany, and he said that there are very few people. He knows of at least one church right now that doesn't have a pastor, and he said that for whatever reason, he says on the European field, I guess a lot of people haven't really figured out how to transition right. He hasn't seen it go well a lot of the time, and so there are people that need replacements, but there's not anybody to replace them yet. So, they need a lot of help, and it's not, there's a lot of sacrifice involved in going and doing that stuff, but really, in light of eternity, it's not that big a deal either. Like, live in America, live there, yeah, you maybe don't get to do some of the stuff that you would here, but, what's the point? Like, people live forever somewhere, either in heaven or in hell. Sacrificing earthly life is not that big a deal when you think about it. And I think a lot of the missionaries see that, and a lot of people here, everybody struggles with that. But sometimes we can get off focus from the eternal mindset that God wants us to have. And it was kind of a good moment for me to help refocus and realize, I'm not just here trying to enjoy myself all the time. So it was definitely a missions trip. There was a lot of work to be done, but there were so many blessings that came from it, and I'm really grateful that I was able to go.
Okay, I wasn't there for a month, but I feel like there's a lot going on in my brain right now, and I'm trying to sort through it. And through all the testimonies, I was like, what can I talk about? What can I probably leave out? So I'm going to try to do this in a short period of time. I'll just start with Sunday night when we got there. We went in, they were serving tacos. I thought, this is awesome. Just right off the bat, you've got my heart, right? You got tacos, that's great. We eat dinner and everything, and then my wonderful sister walks up to me with a red bandana and says, "Here, you're leader of the red team." And I said, "No, I'm doing games." And she said, "And leader of the red team." And I went, "Okay, what does this mean?" She said, "Okay, it means you're in a room with 7 other boys." And first question, do they speak English? Yes, they do. You are in a room with the English-speaking boys. Okay, great. Sounds good. I can do that. We get closer to that night. We've played games. We've had dinner. We're kind of getting to know the kids. Then I find out every night the leader in each room is to give a devotion. I was the leader in my room. I hadn't prepared anything. And I had heard my entire time at Norris and here, be prepared, always be prepared. Well, I learned at that moment what it means to always be prepared. And so I got a chance to each night, minus the last 2 nights, which I'll talk about, but each night to give a devotion to the kids. And was I nervous? 100%. Didn't know any of the boys sitting in that room. I learned, now I know their names, but first night it was rough because I was trying to get their names and then also give the devotion. But as the week progressed, I really have a heart for all those boys in my room. I was also in charge of the games a little bit with David, but David kind of took the reins on that one as I kind of spent more time on the tournaments. Getting to teach the kids American football was really cool. They get so excited. You teach them what a touchdown is. They think that's awesome. But being in the messages every night, I have to say, Brother Corey and Brother Danny nailed it every night. I mean, every single night was so good. And it was very strange that first time Brother Danny preached and they came up to me with a headset and I was like, "What's this?" And then I realized I'm going to be listening to the message through someone else. And it wasn't super loud, so you could still hear the French while at the same time kind of hearing the English in your ear. And it was so crazy to know that what he's saying, you may not be able to understand him, but you're still receiving the message and while someone translates. It was the craziest experience. And as the week progressed, last 2 nights, the boys in my room really enjoyed doing question and answer. Not just random question and answers, but questions about the Bible. And they wanted answers. And I realized they liked that. And so at the end of one of our devotions one night, we kind of did a question and answer, and we were really running low on time. And by the way, getting 7 boys to shower is impossible. Impossible. But anyways, they just make excuses, and I just want to throw them in. But we would get to the end of the night, and they started to ask questions. And I said, "Okay, here's the thing." I said, "Do y'all like doing this? Do y'all like doing the question and answer?" And they said, yeah, we really enjoy it. So then I went to David, and I said, "Okay, tomorrow night, what if we merge?" Well, I actually said, "Do you want to come in my room and help me do a question and answer with the guys?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm all in." And then he comes out to me and says, "What if we combine our rooms?" So the last 2 nights, we had a really good opportunity, me and David, to hear these. And these weren't just simple questions. Some of these boys were asking some deep questions and really pushing it. And I was like, wow, y'all really want to learn. And that was probably the most encouraging thing, was to see that these boys weren't just there, right? They want to learn. They want to know. The desire was so obvious that they want to learn. And that was really encouraging to me. And as the trip winded down, I ended up finding out that five of the boys in my room from a church in Bruges that has no pastor. Missionary left, never came back. So, what was it? For 2 years. I wouldn't have known. These boys were some of the best boys I've ever met. At the end of the week, they wanted to get a picture with me, and I thought that was the coolest thing, because in my eyes, they blessed me more than anything. And the impact they had on my life, in my opinion, was greater than anything I could have done for them. And it was really, 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 really encouraging to just see it all. And at the beginning of the week, was I really nervous and kind of skeptical? I'm not going to lie. I'll be transparent. I was very nervous. I mean, I just went into it thinking I was doing games, and here I am in charge of a group of guys that I don't know. But by the end of the week, They weren't just a group of guys. I'm still messaging, I would say, I think all of them right now. I had a chance to talk to one of them about something he was going through in our room. He speaks only Spanish, and him and his best buddy were in my room, and they pulled me in, and he talked to his buddy, who then translated for him to talk to me, and I got a chance to try my best to be some wise counsel to this boy who doesn't know what I'm saying. His buddy has to translate for me, and it was amazing. I couldn't even describe it. It was just, never experienced anything like that. So was it a lot of work? Yes. Was there a lot of work to be done? Yes. But was it all worth it? Yes. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. And if you haven't gotten a chance to visit the country of Belgium or even experience their camp, really, really recommend it, because there's nothing like it. There is nothing like it. And I promise you will be involved. Some way, shape, form, or fashion. They're going to put you somewhere. And so if you haven't gotten a chance to experience it, and they do, and we go back next year, please really give it some thought. It's very much so worth it.
Hello.
their country right now, what's going on with their health, their age, his concerns. They have big concerns, and they definitely need our prayers. We were able to spend a couple of days with the Anderson family. It was suggested that we go see them. They needed fellowship. They needed some contact with home. And we were able to spend about a day and a half with them there, see their church. Brother Anderson echoed this, but Brother Joe said in 53 years he can count on one hand how many visits he's had from the States. 53 years. And so it means a lot to them to have some type of contact with home. I appreciate those who did work at the camp. I know that things changed once we got there. I learned a very important lesson, and that is not to talk to Brother Larry, but to talk to Miss Jean whenever you're wanting to find out what's going on at camp, because Brother Larry tells you one thing, and then Miss Jean sets it up and goes with it. So I learned a lesson there, but I do appreciate those who worked the camp. They did a fantastic job. They had a great testimony there. They represented not only our church, but our country very well, and our Lord very well, the way they served among the kids there. And so I really, really deeply appreciate them. They worked extremely hard, and I mean they worked hard, and I know they did, and so grateful for them. And there are names written in the Lamb's Book of Life because of those camps. And that's the critical thing to remember and the important thing to remember. Keep our missionaries in your prayers at all times. Always remember them. They go through things we don't understand, and through cultural things we do not understand, and we need to keep them in our prayers at all times as they do their ministries. And I know the Mollers deeply appreciate it. The Taylors, a very sweet family, have a great work in Belgium and Brussels. And we're able to spend some time with them on our last day there in the country and enjoy their fellowship. And then, of course, Brother and Ms. Anderson up in Bruges, who have a church in Bruges, but as Jonah mentioned, there are churches there where the missionaries just leave. Just leave. It's a very hard place. And they'll come in, and these works are still going, and they have no pastor whatsoever. And so please keep these folks in your prayers. Brother Anderson shared that with us and showed us some of these places that don't have a pastor in Bruges that are seriously needing leadership. And so please keep these folks in your prayers as they struggle to take the gospel to the people of Belgium, not only Belgium, but France, Germany, Spain, and the rest of Europe, and reach out to these folks. There are people still being saved over there, folks, and there are people that need to hear the gospel. And I appreciate their sold-out efforts in doing so. Thank you again, each one of you who shared a testimony tonight. They were beautifully done. I appreciate it very much. And I know you spoke from your heart, and I thank you for that. Let's stand together tonight, and we'll be dismissed. Good again to see the Wilsons tonight, and good to see Brother Leon tonight. And very coincidental they're in our services tonight, as they actually were with us the very first time we went to Belgium to get to visit. And the Wilsons went with us, and the Sandefers went with us on that visit. And first time we'd ever met Brother Moeller on the field or anything, didn't know who he was, and they were able to go with us that time. And so that was a blessing that they were able to be here tonight and be a part of the services. Let's ask God's blessing on our dismissal tonight. Youth, I believe you have a fellowship right after church tonight, and you're going to be playing some games in the fellowship hall, so stick around, young people. They've got a game they brought home from Belgium that they want to teach you tonight, and so you'll be enjoying a game from overseas tonight, and you'll learn one, okay? So I hope you can stick around and enjoy that tonight, teenagers. And I thank Heathen College and Career invited to stick around if they want to, all right? Brother Bob, would you dismiss? I'll tell you what, Brother Bob, I'm sorry. Brother Bill, it's good to have you. Would you dismiss us tonight, Brother Bill?